The last section we talked about writing equations given a point and the slope, and this week we're going to talk about writing equations from a graph. So we're going to be looking at a graph and we're going to be writing the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So this first slide is all the steps. You're going to want to write all these out for your notes, and if I'm going too fast or something, you might have to pause the video to be able to have enough time to write it down. But the first step says locate the y-intercept on the graph. This is your b value, so the y-axis is the one that goes up and down. So the first thing you need to do is find the point where the line crosses that axis. Then the next step is to find a point on the graph that is at a perfect intersection of two grid lines. So where the graph goes through the corner of a square, that would be a good point for you to use to be able to identify the slope. So step 3 says using rise over run, identify your slope. This is your m value. And step 4 says write the equation in slope-intercept form, so y equals mx plus b. So that's a lot of information. Probably don't understand it quite yet, but when we get into examples and you see what I'm talking about and how these all work, then it should be a little bit better. Okay, these are a couple different ways for you to remember positive slope and negative slope, undefined, and 0. So for slope guy, his first eyebrow here on the left, it's going uphill, that means positive slope. Moving over, going downhill is negative slope. His nose is undefined, and that is a vertical line. And slope is 0 when it's horizontal, like his mouth. Okay, another visual is this one of the person walking up and downhill. Walking uphill is positive, downhill is negative. Walking just straight across is 0 slope, and then falling would be undefined. So you're going to want to draw these pictures as well. All right, first example. So I've got this graph here. First thing I need to do is find my b value. So this is step 1, and that is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So that would be right here. So my b value would be 1. Now I need to find where the graph crosses perfectly through a grid. So let me see here. I'm going to use this point right here. So I'm going to rise. I'm going to draw a triangle. I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to run 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope is going to be 6 over 4, which I'm going to reduce. You can plug that into your calculator and it'll give you 3 over 2. So if I'm writing my final equation here, y equals mx plus b, I'm going to fill in what I have in this problem. So I've got y equals, my slope is 3 over 2, and then x, and then my b value is 1. Okay, now I need to make sure that my slope should be positive. This is going uphill, so according to my pictures, this is correct. And that's my final equation, y equals 3 over 2x plus 1. Okay, next example. I've got m and b. This is step 1. So step 1, I need to find where the line crosses the y-axis. So that would be right here. So my b value would be -1. Now I need to find where the graph crosses perfectly through the corner of a square. So that would be, this one would be one that I could use. So I'm going to draw my triangle. So my rise is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And my run is going to be 1, 2. So my slope is going to be 6 over 2, which can reduce to 3. Now I need to decide if it should be positive or negative. This line is going downhill, so that means it should be a negative slope. So my final equation, y equals mx plus b, it should be y equals -3x minus 1. I plugged in my m value and my b value from the problem. And that's how I got my final equation. Okay, next example, I'm going to write out M and B. This is the first step. So my y-intercept would be found at 3, and a place where it crosses perfectly would be here at 2. I'm going to draw my triangle. It's going to rise 3 and run 2. So that means it's going to be 3 over 2. That doesn't reduce at all. Should it be positive or negative? It's going downhill, so that means it should be negative. Slope-intercept form, y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 3. Okay, next example, write out m equals b equals. So my y-intercept would be negative 5. And then I need to find where it crosses perfectly through the corner of a square. Looks like it crosses perfectly here. I'm going to draw my triangle. I'm just kidding, that's not a good one. Oh, right here. I'm going to draw my triangle. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, rise 7, and run 3. So it's going to be 7 over 3. And my line is going uphill, so that means it's going to be a positive slope. So y equals mx plus b. Y equals 7 over 3, x minus 5. A couple more examples. Got m and b. Okay, where it crosses the y-axis is at 0, so that's my y-intercept. Now I need to see where it crosses perfectly through the corner of a square. And I'm going to use this one here. Draw my triangle. So my rise is going to be 5, and my run is 2. So it's going to be 5 over 2. And my line is going uphill, so that means my slope should be positive. So y equals mx plus b. Y equals 5 over 2, x plus 0. You could also have y equals 5 over 2x. The plus 0 doesn't really have to be there, but you can put it there and it'll still count it right. All right, next one. M equals B equals. This is the first step. So I find my intercept, which is 3, and find where it crosses perfectly through. Draw my triangle, so that's going to be 3 over 3, which would reduce to be 1. This line is going downhill, so my slope should be negative. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals negative 1x plus 3. Or you could just have y equals negative x plus 3. You don't have to write the 1 there, but you can. Okay, next one. M equals B equals. First step is to find the y-intercept. Okay, find where it crosses the y-axis, and it actually doesn't, so I'm going to say none. And this is a vertical line, so my slope would be undefined. So when we're writing this equation, we can't really use y equals mx plus b because we don't have a slope, and the y-intercept is undefined, or the slope is undefined and the y-intercept there isn't one. So we have to go with what axis we're crossing through. This is the x-axis. So we're going to say x equals, and then find this point here, negative 1, 2, 3, 4. X equals negative 4 would be the equation of this line because it crosses through the x-axis. It doesn't ever touch the y-axis, so it shouldn't be in terms of y. Okay, last example. Got m equals and b equals. I need to find where it crosses the y-axis, and that is at 3. And the slope of a horizontal line is 0. Going back to those pictures and stuff that we were looking at before. Okay, so now I need to write my equation. So I've got y equals 0x plus 3. And then you can also just have y equals 3 because 0x doesn't really make sense and that's not really in lowest terms. So either one of these would be an okay answer. Okay, your homework for this section is going to be a Math Excel. That's also going to serve as your quiz for this section. So make sure if you have any questions or you struggle with it to reach out.